Honorable Leader of the House, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Shri Mallikarjun Kharge ji, Honorable former Prime Minister, Shri S.D. Devgowda ji, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Leaders of respective parties, Honorable Members. Deeply moved and touched by the indulgent words of welcome by the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Leader of Opposition, Leader of the House, and those who followed. Grateful to the Honorable Members of Parliament for affording opportunity to be in service of Bharat as Vice President of India and Chairman of this august House. Looking forward to contributing to growth trajectory of the largest vibrant democracy in the world and vindicate its trust and confidence. Honorable members, availing this historic opportunity to share some concerns with the distinguished members of this august House. Terms Upper House and House of Elders, though not part of the official glossary, amply reflect uniquely significant importance of this institution. Nation justifiably expects the House of Elders to take decisive directional lead in reaffirming and enhancing the core values of the Republic and set up the traditions of parliamentary democracy, exemplifying the highest deliberative, emulative standards. Today, as we are in Amritkal, we cherish one of the world's finest constitutions as our own. Members of the Constituent Assembly were enormously talented with impeccable credentials and immense experience. The Constituent Assembly, given the scenario then, was as representative as was practicable. Honorable members, with each election, there has been progressively authentic enhancement in the representation gradient. Presently, the Parliament reflects with authenticity the mandate and aspiration of the people as never before. Honorable members, Constituent Assembly addressed sensitive, complex, and critical issues, exemplifying sublimity, engaging in dialogue, discussions, deliberations, and debate, marked with cooperative and consensual attitude. Diverse issues were traversed without there being any disruption, any rancor. Obstruction and disruption of proceedings of parliamentary practice or option are antithetical to democratic values. Contemporaneous scenario on this count is concerning and makes it imperative for us to follow the high standards set in the Constituent Assembly. We need to be cognizant of severe public discomfort and disillusionment at the lack of decorum in the temple of democracy. Honorable members, democracy blossoms and flourishes when its three facets, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, scrupulously adhere to their respective domains. The sublimity of doctrine of separation of powers is realized when the legislature, judiciary, and the executive optimally function in tandem and togetherness, meticulously ensuring scrupulous adherence to respective jurisdictional domain. Any incursion by one, howsoever subtle, in the domain of the other has the potential to upset the governance apple cart. We are indeed faced with this grim reality of frequent incursions. This House is eminently positioned to take affirmative steps to bring about congeniality amongst these wings of governance. I'm sure the honorable members will reflect and engage in way forward stance. Honorable members, a sense of democracy lies in the prevalence of the ordainment of the people, reflected through legitimized platform. In any democracy, parliamentary sovereignty is inviolable. We all here are under oath to preserve it. Power of the parliament of the day to act in exercise of its constituent power, to amend by way of addition, variation, or repeal any provision of this Constitution in accordance with the procedure is unqualified and supreme, not amenable to executive attention or judicial intervention, except for the purpose of deciding any case involving a substantial question of law as to interpretation of the Constitution, envisaged in Article 145(3) of the Constitution. Using this constitutional power to amend, Parliament enacted wholesome structural governance changes to further spinally strengthen our democracy. This has been by way of incorporation of Part 9, 9A, and 9B in the Constitution, providing comprehensive mechanism for Panchayati Raj, municipalities, and cooperative societies. Honorable members, in similar vein, the Parliament, in a much-needed historic step, passed the 99th Constitutional Amendment Bill, paving way for the National Judicial Commission. There was unprecedented support to the above. On August 13, 2014, the Lok Sabha unanimously voted in its favor, with there being no abstention. This House too passed it unanimously on August 14, 2014, with one abstention. Rarely in parliamentary democracy there has been such massive support to a constitutional legislation. This process fructified into a constitutional prescription. After 16 state assemblies out of the 29 states ratified the central legislation, the President of India, in terms of Article 111, accorded his consent on December 31, 2014. This was culmination of a basic, fundamental parliamentary process. This historic parliamentary mandate was undone by the Supreme Court on October 16, 2015, by a majority of 4:1, finding the same as not being in consonance with the judicially evolved doctrine of basic structure of the Constitution. Honorable members, there is no parallel to such development in democratic history, where a duly legitimized constitutional prescription has been judicially undone. A glaring instance of severe compromise of parliamentary sovereignty and disregard of the mandate of the people, of which this House and the Lok Sabha are custodians. Honorable members, we need to bear in mind that in democratic governance, basic of any basic structure is the prevalence of the primacy of the mandate of the people reflected in the Parliament. Parliament is the exclusive and ultimate determinative of the architecture of the Constitution. It is disconcerting to note that on such a momentous issue, so vital to democratic fabric, there has been no focus in the Parliament now for over 7 years. This House, in concert with the Lok Sabha, being custodian of the ordainment of the people, is duty-bound to address the issue, and I'm sure it will do so. Honorable members, authorities in constitutional positions in any institution are required to exemplify their conduct by high standards of propriety, dignity, and decorum. Time for all constitutional institutions to reflect and give quietus to public display of adversarially challenging stance, trading or exchange of advisories emanating from these platforms. I urge the members of the House to proactively catalyze evolution of wholesome, cordial ecosystem, ending this aberration. It is institutional, seamless, correct, marked with mutual trust and respect that generates ecosystem best suited for serving the nation. This House needs to catalyze this wholesome environment to promote synergic functioning of constitutional institutions, emphasizing need to respect Lakshman Rekha. Honorable members, as Vice President, I had the honor to represent the country at the India-ASEAN and East Asia Summits in Phnom Penh, Cambodia on November 12 and 13, 2022, and at the FIFA World Cup inaugural ceremony in Doha, Qatar on 20th November 2022. I share with you my deep sense of pride and satisfaction of the level of respect India commands amongst world leaders and their hope and expectation that our growth trajectory generates global peace and prosperity. Honorable members, I look forward with hope and expectation to pleasant and fruitful association so that we all, in togetherness, optimally serve the nation. Once again, I thank you most earnestly for your generous felicitations, and I would do my utmost to come up to your very high expectations. As foot soldier of the Constitution, आप सबको प्रणाम कर कर मैं अपने कार्य का श्री गणेश करता हूं। I am sharing with you, honorable members, as this session commences, all members will be aware that India has taken over the presidency of the G20 with effect from December 1, 2022. This is a matter of great pride for the entire nation. It is also occurring as we welcome Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The G20 summit will, of course, be an unparalleled event in our diplomatic history. What is noteworthy, however, is that the almost 200 events at various levels will be spread across the length and breadth of the country. It will provide an opportunity to showcase India's rich and diverse culture, to demonstrate the vigor of our democracy, and to highlight the progress of our development. We should all appreciate that broad sections of the society are being involved through a Jan Bhagidari approach. During these challenging times in global affairs, it is appropriate that we have chosen the theme, I quote, "One Earth, one family, one future," unquote. This is much in keeping with our traditional belief in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Such a conviction of our global oneness will surely guide the shaping of the agenda and achievement of outcomes. I am sure that the entire House joins me in expressing our fullest support for the success of India's G20 presidency.